Hello and welcome to Cult Classic Society, the podcast where I, Bobby Davies, and my pal Tim Martini, say hi, Tim.
Hi, Tim.
Oh, you're not funny. Shut up. We go through movies and TV and video games and hopefully at some point, Tim, comic books and music. And we have a little chat about them, and the lovely people who come and listen, they warm our little hearts, don't they, Tim?
Yeah.
Tim. Well, I'm trying to be nice to people. You've told me that I'm scaring people off, and I'm trying to be nice.
I prefer when you're scaring them.
How are you, Timothy?
I'm doing good. I'm trying to remember what time. I'm trying to like kayfabe everyone here and go, yeah, it's March. I just came back from Amsterdam and it was amazing, but I don't know how that's going to turn out. So.
Yeah, you in Amsterdam's never a good idea. So let's say it went badly.
No, I'm doing good. If we could say how things are right now, it's really good. I mentioned in the last episode around that time, bought Sleep Token tickets. So I'm still riding that high. I saw Iron Claw the other day. Fantastic movie.
Oh God, it's looking like I can't fit that into my schedule. It's really looking like I'm going to have to wait till it comes out on TV. But there you go.
Yeah, it's honestly
I really wanted
fantastic.
to see it in the cinema, but
yeah.
Friend of both of ours, more a friend of mine, but you know him, Matthew, the Australian. He's not a huge wrestling fan. Yes, he does help out at purpose, but he's not a huge wrestling fan. But he went to see the movie, and he said it was brilliant and tragic. And I was like, yeah, you went in not knowing anything about the Von Erich family, didn't you?
That's it. I went with my friends who knew nothing about the story of the Von Erich. So every time something just happened, I looked at him like, it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse.
It's going to get worse before it gets better, sunshine. All right, Timothy, I've brought us back, and I've just got a little something to say. Welcome to the world of Pokemon. My name is not Professor Oak. People call me the Pokemon Professor. They don't, but they should. And this world is inhabited by creatures called Pokemon. Yay! Come on, Tim. Yay! Now those are the opening words of Professor Oak in Pokémon Red and Blue. But they're also the opening words of Professor Oak in Pokémon Origins.
Yeah, I immediately noticed that's what it was. Especially when he's standing on like the spotlight and everything.
Yeah, exactly. They're doing the game intro. Now, had you even heard of this mini-series before? No?
No. When he told me something called Pokemon Origins, I legit thought it was going to be about the origins of Pokemon.
Are you happy that it's a parallel to a piece of Pokemon media that you already know? Does that make it more kind of digestible for you?
Yes and no. Because I get to see how they adapt a piece of like media I've already experienced. I didn't think there was enough from the game to pull to make a story. So I was very interested to see how they were going to do it.
They embellish some stuff, they change some stuff, and also they skip over some bits.
Yeah, I was very. We'll go into that, but there was a few moments I was like, really?
Yeah. It's I'm not showing us this because it's perfect. I'm showing us this because I think it's a very good piece of Pokemon media. But let's go into it. Episode 1, they call them files rather than episode because they actually base this around like the game save file. So it starts off, and this one starts with. Yeah, so it actually looks like the Game Boy, and it says new game, and this one's called Red, obviously, and that is because the default name in Pokemon Red and Blue. Or is Red? It means that the way they show this, it means that Red is actually considered the canon version of the games.
Yeah.
But so Red is the lead character, not Ash Ketchum. In fact, Red came first. Ash is based on Red. He looks a lot like Red as well.
Yeah, he does.
We get a cool countdown showing the Pokemon games through the years and their kind of mascots for each game. Nice little detail, and a nice remix of the original Game Boy theme.
Oh, I loved it.
That music. To this day, so I probably play through a version of Red or Blue once a year, maybe once every 2 years. And I don't always have the music on now, but as a kid, I always had the music on. And it still gives me little, like, tingles to, like, nostalgia as a child with my little Game Boy Pocket sat on the end of the sofa while my mum was watching telly or, you know, in the back of a car. That music is still just, like, iconic to me. And I'm glad that it gets sprinkled into all Pokemon media still. Like, even new stuff has, like, sprinklings of the Red and Blue music. Love it. Oak does his full speech that he does at the beginning of Red and Blue. And in my notes, pull behind the curtain, in my notes I've put the quote here. And I said to Tim before we started, I haven't got something I need. Hang on. So I just opened it on Google. So yeah, well done me. Well done. We get the original battle music and the battle between Gengar and Nidorino that is from Red and Blue. And then actually, the Pokemon main series anime with Ash starts with this battle as well. The battle itself has kind of become iconic because it's the opening thing before you even start the game in Red and Blue.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool that they called that back straight away. Red's mum's been off talking to Professor Oak because everyone's mum loves a bit of Professor Oak, as we find out in the main timeline series with Ash as well. You know, and as you suspected in Red and Blue, that Oak is really your dad or whatever you said.
Yeah. I still think it.
Yeah. Yeah, he gets all the mums, doesn't he? Red's mum says, Professor Oak's ready for you to start your Pokemon journey, and Red rushes off to the lab. And
at the town is much bigger in the anime than it is in the actual game.
Sorry? The town?
The town is much bigger in the anime. It's like, it was not that big. It was literally 2 steps down the road.
Oh, mate, in the mainline anime, the main series anime with Ash, when they call it a city in the game, it's actually like a sprawling, massive city in the anime. And in the game, the biggest city is like 12 buildings.
Yeah.
Red runs to the lab, and who does he run face first into?
Blue,
who looks a lot like Gary Oak because they're basically the same character.
Yeah.
But again, Blue came before Gary Oak. Gary Oak is based on Blue. Blue in the original games was Oak's grandson. Gary Oak is obviously Oak's grandson as well. They fight to be the first in the lab, but when they get there, Oak is kind of subdued straight away. He's like, hello, I've got some Pokedexes for you. Because they're obviously just interested in getting them Pokemon.
Yeah.
But Oak wants them to do the Pokedex. Now, did you notice anything about Professor Oak?
In what sense?
He's got a much deeper voice in this version than
I
he
actually
has
didn't
in the main anime.
I didn't like his voice. Because I was going to say nostalgic ties to the original.
I honestly thought they could have done with that. Like, he's the only character that is the same character. Same name, same appearance. They could have used the same voice actor. I think just to help bridge that.
Actually, no, he's not the same because we have a later character, a certain gym leader.
Oh, sorry, yeah. I mean, not the only same one, but he's
he's the iconic one.
Yeah, for sure. And I think they could have bridged that better with using the same voice actor. They need, as in the games, they need to fill the Pokedex, which is the main aim of the game. The main aim of the game is to catch them all, not beat the Elite Four, and try to grind out one Pokemon, Timothy. So he gives them the thing and says, this is what I wanted to do, much like the games. This is what my aim was when I was a trainer, but I never managed to finish it. It's down to you guys.
And unlike... So I'm going to send out 2 10-year-olds.
Yeah. You got to start them young. Unlike the main anime, Red actually gets the choice of the proper starters. He gets his choice of Bulbasaur, Charmander, or Squirtle, and he doesn't have to take an electric yellow rat. So that's good. But
he chose wisely.
He does, yeah. So he gets given his choice, and much like the games, Blue allows Red to pick first, so he can then pick the one with the type advantage. And Red picks Charmander. Hey! Do you like my hat, Tim?
I do. It's really cool.
I got it in Disney World, weirdly. In Epcot, they had like a Japanese shop and they had loads of Pokemon stuff. I was like, well, this is great.
It's nice.
He says he chose Charmander because it's red, and his father called him Red because he wanted to imbue him with like the passion of a fire Pokemon or some bollocks. Then Blue picks Squirtle, and Professor Oak asks, "Oh, did you pick it because it's blue like your name?" And he's like, "No, I'm not that stupid." But what's really funny is in the Japanese version of this, and in the original Japanese games, he's not called blue. He's called green.
Yeah.
Which actually, if you look at the character model, what colour's his t-shirt?
Green.
Green. Apparently, in the Japanese version, Professor Oak asks him if he's going to pick Bulbasaur to be like his name, and he says, "No, that's a stupid reason. I'm going to pick Squirtle because it can beat the Charmander."
Yeah, exactly.
And unlike the game again, they don't fight here. They also choose not to give their Pokemon nicknames, which is what most kids do when they play
Yeah.
Pokemon. You just because the anime doesn't give them nicknames. I think if the anime gave them all nicknames, I think kids would do it. But because Ash doesn't in the anime, they don't as well.
Yeah.
Blue says he doesn't want to battle Red because he's a beginner, which is quite funny. Red, we kind of get a little montage now of Red going on his journey, and he's going to try and catch some Pokemon. He immediately fails to catch a Pidgey. You know,
I know.
That's fucking chump change, mate. Come on. Next up, he bumps into a Rattata. This time, he actually manages to succeed, and we get the data being logged in the Pokedex. And when I was a kid, when I caught a Pokemon, I used to read the Pokedex entries. Now, when I play even the new games with the new Pokemon, I fucking don't bother.
Yeah.
We actually get a little montage now of the catches. We get he does catch a Pidgey eventually. He catches a Caterpie.
He got there in the end.
He battles a kid and tries to steal his Nidoran. Or Nidoran, sorry.
Yeah,
Nidoran female.
I'm sorry, but how does
is...
he know nothing about the rules of Pokemon?
So I think this is trying to show you, like, when you first got the game as a kid, especially the first generation, I think we all tried it. And the opposing trainer bats the ball away and says, "Don't try to steal my Pokemon, you thief." And it's kind of word for word what happens here as well.
Yeah.
So I think they're just trying to highlight another little nugget from the game.
Okay.
Red gets to Veridian, which is the first... It's called Veridian City, again, in the games. It has like 4 buildings, which is the home of Giovanni's gym in the games that you obviously don't get to till the very end, but you do pass through it first. And like always, Blue is ahead, just like the games. Red refuses to battle Blue at first, and Blue mocks him until he gives in. And they have quite an intense battle. Charmander, Squirtle. The Squirtle looks stronger. Red begins to panic and stress, and he accuses Charmander of being slow. He's not being very nice to his mon, is he?
No.
He's being a total dick. He also needs to learn that, type advantage is a thing, and he was always going to struggle against the Squirtle. Come on.
Yeah.
And unlike the games, Red loses here. So canonically in the games, Red beats Blue.
Yeah.
You always beat them. Red gives in. Blue says Red should just give up, go home. He's a rubbish trainer. And he's a smug prick, just like he is in the games, and just like Gary Oak is, like a reformed version of him. Red sat kind of lamenting his loss, and Brock shows up. And Brock says he's not in sync with his Pokemon. He's not in sync with his Charmander.
Yeah.
But Blue and Squirtle are already starting to get in sync. And there is one big difference between this Brock and the main time anime Brock. Can you say what it is?
He's not horny.
He's not a fucking perv.
Yeah.
Mainline Brock is a sex pest. He's a bad boy. And what's funny though, he's meant to be I think he's meant to be about 16 or 17. Yeah. And then the others are meant to be 10 to 12. But he just constantly hits on adults. Like Officer Jenny and Nurse Joy, who have got grown-up jobs and are grown-ups, and they're clearly nearly a foot taller than him, and he's just I'm going to fucking crack on with this women.
He just likes powerful women in uniform.
He does. He's got a kink, and he's not ashamed of hiding it.
He's not afraid to show it off.
Brock is he's a sleaze. Red says he wants to battle Brock, but points out that he needs to. But Brock points out, you know what? You probably should take your Charmander to a Poké Center because that Charmander ain't battling no one.
It's gonna die.
Brock says he needs to work with his Pokemon more before Red challenges any gyms at all.
He ain't wrong.
No. Yes. At the Pokemon Center, we get kind of an element from the animes here that isn't in the games, which is the video calling.
Yeah.
So Ash, pretty much every Pokestop video calls his mum or Professor Oak or someone. And that's obviously not from the games; it's from the anime. So they borrowed a little bit from the anime here, which I thought was a nice little touch, especially to that first season, because it is there from the first season. Oak explains that he can only carry 6 Pokemon, so we've only seen him catch 3 more. So we only know of 4 that he's got.
Yeah,
but apparently he's already caught more than 6. So by this point, he could have caught Nidoran, a Mankey, Pikachu. You know, if we're going by the game's map,
the game's,
and he's followed that.
The progression of the game, yeah.
But we don't see any of that yet. Some girls.
Also, where's Nurse Joy?
Yeah, it's a different character model, right? That could have again been another anime callback. Considering the Nurse Joy character model in the anime is based on the sprite from the games, like with the looped hair and stuff. And this one, she does have pink hair like Nurse Joy, but she isn't Nurse Joy.
Yeah, I was actually upset by this.
Yeah, there's another. Now I don't know whether. So I'm presuming the manga and the games have a different set of licensing to the mainline anime.
Most likely, I'd imagine.
So I'm wondering if that's a reasoning, but I don't know. I did do a little bit of looking at the main reference point for all Pokemon, Bulbapedia.
Yeah.
And there was nothing. There wasn't even a lot of information on these episodes. So yeah, I couldn't find anything about why they wouldn't have included more mainline anime references. But there you go. Some girls are chatting about Brock defeating people, and Red overhears. Another trainer mocks Red for only having been with his Pokemon for 5 days, thinking he can take on Brock. And what I pointed out here is if he's already got a full team of 6 in 5 days, he's already much better than Ash Ketchum.
Yeah, I can say that's really impressive.
Because Ash doesn't get 6 till like fucking 40 episodes in or something.
Because he just relies on good old Pikachu.
Yeah, and he somehow magically gets all the starters as if that's to sell the games.
Yeah.
Brock invites Red in to kind of learn from like a battle with him. Brock picks out 2 Pokemon, and first up he jumps up with a Geodude. Red sends out a Charmander. Stupid choice straight away. Now, if he's got 6, there's a good chance he's already got a Nidoran or a Mankey. They have fighting moves, right?
Yeah.
They'll take it down. But this guy knows nothing yet. He knows
nothing about types.
No, well, a lot like you didn't when you were playing when we did.
No. I knew about types. I remembered my Pokemon history. I remember the anime because I got my Nidoran. I killed Brock.
I do like when the other trainers say, "Oh, that's not very effective," like it does in the game. That's quite nice. The guys around the edge.
Yeah.
There's also a screen in the gym that shows the HP bar, which I quite liked as well. Another little nod. Brock then explains type advantage and says Charmander will have a hard time beating a rock type Pokemon, and the switching Pokemon is a legit style. So I do feel like they're kind of explaining the games as much as anything else as well.
Yeah, I would say this works as almost as a good tutorial for Pokemon.
It is. I feel like it's a better introduction to the idea of the games than the Ash Ketchum anime would be.
Where they just break the rules.
Yeah, constantly, and like half of the Pokemon he gets just decide to come with him and be his friend as opposed to him catching him.
It's like the Yu-Gi-Oh anime where they just do 5 turns in one go.
I've never played Yu-Gi-Oh and I've never watched the series.
Oh. Give me ideas, Bobby.
Red sends out his Nidoran, and I was like, this is the tactic. If you've got a fire starter, you need to get that Nidoran, teach it double kick, and fuck up those rock types. And that's exactly what he does. Does double kick straight away, and it beats the Geodude. But then Brock sends out a fucking Onyx. And it's here we go. For those who don't know, Onyx is a 40-foot long rock snake. He does evolve into a metal version later in newer games, but
okay.
Yes. He also then explains stuff like Bide Attack, which does double damage the longer it goes on.
Yeah.
Red throws out a Spearow and a Rattata. It's like, well, they're going to get creamed, obviously. Until Red realises he needs to slow the Onyx down. And he brings up good old Metapod, which somehow, despite Red's lack of skill, he managed to evolve his Caterpie, so well done.
Or he caught a Metapod.
He caught a separate Metapod, that is a good point. But he knows String Shot, which when you find wild ones, they don't know that.
Oh, okay.
They only know Harden. He uses the String Shot to slow down the Metapod, And Onyx defeats the Metapod, but then he sends out Charmander. He risks it, and Charmander just is quicker than the Onyx, and beats him. There we go. And that is, again, something that Red and this anime do that reflects the games way better than Ash and the other anime. I think it's quite nice to be, especially for people like me who were originally got Red and Blue when it originally came out, loved it and have replayed it. It's such like a loving homage to the games.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Red realizes he's exhausted and feels like he's taken damage.
Yeah.
And, this is we're battling together with Amon. And there's a really great meme that said what it looked like versus what it felt like. And it's got like a little fucking thing of you standing in front of 8-bit or 16-bit Mewtwo. And then it's got like an epic anime drawing of Mewtwo with all his powers coming out. And like, that's what it felt like. And as a kid, really did.
I would, yeah. I would even say when I was playing the game, that's exactly what it felt like to me. It's like, yeah, I feel
epic.
powerful.
These little 16-bit sprites, and you're like, eh.
Yeah, but actually, like, no, it's like...
Brock says he only let Red battle him even though he thought he wasn't ready because he was intrigued by what Red can bring. So that feels like an underhanded compliment. Like,
yeah,
I thought you were going to be shit, but I was interested.
You're a loser. That's why I picked you.
It's a bit like the way everyone puts Ash down in the anime, that, to be fair. And then we get a jump to one of Professor Oak's kind of aides, as they're called in the games, asking why he chose Red.
Because he's a loser.
Well, actually, he said because he hates to lose, but he's honest about that.
Yeah.
And that's why he picked him. But he's also a loser, yeah. No. Oak says Blue is too good, and that makes him arrogant, and that might give Red, in the long term, an advantage over him. Okay, this is your breakdown of your grandson versus your illegitimate child.
Grandson. Yeah.
Illegitimate child.
Yeah.
That makes Red Blue's uncle as well, which is lovely.
Yeah.
The episode ends in the same way it started, with a save screen.
Yeah.
And actually, I actually didn't take note of it now. I only noticed it in the second one, but it actually updates his little badge count and Pokedex entries.
Yeah.
On the save, which is a really nice little touch. We also get the sweet credit music from the games for the end credits, which is another awesome callback. Although someone's game crashed, didn't they? And they didn't actually get to hear the end credits.
Shame that happened to you, Bobby. Like, honestly, it's such a shame.
I would never let my game crash, and if it did crash, I'd still replay it. We jump to episode 2, file 2. This one's called Cubone. Now, Cubone's a Pokemon you're quite familiar with, because they're also the first kind of fully introduced Pokemon in Detective Pikachu.
Yes. And I'm familiar with his history.
We
his
get
very sad history.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute, because there's something in this episode that's like, I prefer the fan theory to what you've told me here. So we skip quite a lot of the adventure here. We get a montage of Red's activities up to the beginning of this episode. So Red does what I like to do, which is he buy that magic carp before the rock tunnel. And that way you can get a Gyarados nice and early, especially if you don't start with a Squirtle. You got to get that Gyarados. Yeah. He gets through Mount Moon and he beats Tim in there.
Or he just says,
super nerd.
A nerd. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know if you remember back to our Red and Blue episode, that character that he beats, I also called you. Yeah. He gets the Dig TM, which, do you remember that in the game? You beat up the Rocket Thief.
Yes, he's good. So at this point, I thought, did I skip an episode? It's just recapping everything?
No, it just washes through these bits for some reason. Yeah. He then went and beat Misty with a type disadvantage, which is really good, because we still don't see anything yet that would suggest he's got anything that as a type advantage of water. No grass, no electric. And he somehow fucking beat Misty. And Misty's difficult. That Staryu in the game is a fucking dick.
Oh, yeah.
He gets an Old Rod. Weird. he boards the SS Anne and gets the HM on. Now in this he just says, "I got it from the captain." But in the games, you're a 10-year-old robbing the old sea captain's bag for it, which is so weird. And he tells us about how he got the Thunder Badge and the bike, and this is where we finally rejoin him as he's exiting the rock tunnel.
Charmander evolves to Charmeleon.
Oh yeah, Charmander evolves into Charmeleon as well.
Which I'm like, that should happen in the episode. Would have been nice to see.
Well, beating both of the gym leaders, like the rest of it you can skip over, but beating both of the gym leaders and the Charmander evolving into a Charmeleon, that would have been nice. Like, it feels like they had a budget and they made 4 episodes.
Yeah,
when to tell the whole story, they could have done with 8.
Absolutely, yeah.
So we rejoin Red as he exits the rock tunnel in Lavender Town. Now, Lavender Town has beautiful music. Really iconic music, especially when you go into the Pokemon Tower. And we hear that almost from the beginning, that eerie, lovely music. Red overhears some locals talking about ghosts in the Pokemon Tower, which is the graveyard for Mon, which I hadn't really thought about until this. Why is the graveyard a tower? Like, how are they buried between the floors? The fuck? The locals mess with him about ghosts and say, "Oh, what's that on your shoulder?" And there is actually a creepy hand on his shoulder. And he turns around to look at it, and then he turns back to them, and they disappear.
Yeah.
Oh, man. We get another nurse in a Pokemon Center that isn't Nurse Joy.
I called her not Nurse Joy.
Yes. Do you think Brock would perv over this one? I think he probably would.
He perv over all of them.
The nurse tells Red to go visit the Pokemon house, which in the games is Mr. Fuji's house as well. You don't have to visit the house in the games until after you've cleared out the tower.
Yeah.
But for the sake of the story of this one, to kind of speed it up, because in the games you have to go to Celadon first and then come back with the stealth scope which you need to see the ghosts. But in this, we kind of skip that bit, jump ahead. At the Pokemon house, Red, I was about to call him Ash, that's how similar they are. Red meets one of the people who works there and they take care of orphan Pokemon, which is very sweet. The thing is though, I was like, they've got some solid Mon here. Some of these are abandoned apparently. Yeah. There's a Growlithe and a Vulpix and an Oddish. All 3 of those evolve into solid
who abandoned them?
Saying that, in the mainline anime, how Ash got his Charmander was that someone abandoned it and fucking...
Oh, yeah. The piece
Charmander.
Of shit.
Yeah. And he's British in the anime, which is really funny.
Yeah.
He's like, "That's my Charmander!" Fucking hell. Maybe we'll watch that episode one day, Tim, because it's funny.
Oh, God.
Red sees the little sad baby Cubone and he gets
told...
It's
not sad. It looks like the devil just staring at him.
And we get the flashback of Team Rocket chasing him with nets saying they want to sell him, which is lovely.
They murdered Cubo's mum.
Oh, mate, Team Rocket in this are so dark. Like, in the anime, Jesse and James and Meowth are obviously useless, but the boss has a bit of a dark overtone. But you never see anything, horrific. And yet, in this, they're like, they straight up murder Pokemon. Yeah.
Yeah, it's implied they beat the Pokemon to death.
Cubone was saved by its mum, Marowak, and that's what you're saying. They implied that the Marowak was beaten to death. And this is wrong because the fan theory is better. Cubones are made when a Kangaskhan baby, when its mum dies and it wears its skull. And then it evolves into a Marowak. So in this and in Pokemon Red and Blue, that Marowak is from an abandoned Cubone that evolved. Maybe adopted this Cubone because it didn't have a mum, but its actual mum was definitely a Kangaskhan.
God, there's 2 dead mums now.
God, yeah.
God, that's somehow sadder.
Someone comes in and says they found Mr. Fuji and that he's in the Pokemon Tower. Now, I knew that because in the games, that's where he is as well. He was trying to stop Team Rocket. Fucking some old man on his own trying to stop Team Rocket. They're hiding in the top floor of the tower and they've made it their base. We get a nice little montage of the Rockets telling people they can fuck off and this is their base now, that you can't come in more on your Pokemon.
All your bases belong to us.
Yeah, and then they say there's a ghost that's bothering people, and then we find out that some woman just snuck in despite Team Rocket, which after the last story doesn't make much sense, but she saw a ghost and it scared her off. Apparently, according to these locals, the Rockets are strong, but Red's like, well, I got something to say about that. I'm going to kick their asses. And it's just, I think that's what you were like with the Rockets as well. You was like, I'm just going to kill these pricks.
And I did.
What I love about this as well, he's like, and I've got 3 badges, so I'll kick their asses. And I was like, 3 badges is pathetic, Red. Come on.
Freaking numbers. You got to pump those up.
Yeah. Blue is listening to the conversation, and he's like, well, I'm going to go ahead and beat them so I could be the hero. And this is where we get... sorry, I did say earlier, but we get the Lavender Tower music, but this is where we get the Pokemon Tower music.
Yeah.
And it's the little piano. Red goes into the tower at night, and he bumps into a lady who came in to pay her respects. We cut across to Blue, who is already on the 5th floor, because we see a big number 5, that's how we know. And he's talking to himself, and he's like, I'm a genius, which is so, like, I feel like the character of Red isn't necessarily been taken from the Ash character, but the character of Blue is just Gary Oak.
Yeah, it's great.
The Rockets really remind me of, like, the Gotham goons here in the games. Like, oh, it's the bat!
It's the freaking bat!
They've got a Sylph Scope. They're kind of skipping, obviously, ahead a big chunk of the game for story-wise in a TV show. This makes more sense.
Yeah.
Blue gets scared off by a ghost. The Rockets hear him screaming and just dismiss it as someone else trying to come in and have their rightful place to mourn their Pokemon. And they're going to go scare them off again. Blue runs head first into Red, and he says he saw a ghost. And unlike the game, so in the game, you battle here in the Pokemon Tower, and this is where Blue also doesn't have his Raticate, but doesn't have a full team. Yeah. So this is where we assume that Red on the SSN killed the Raticate. The ghost comes, and Red sends out Charmeleon to try and battle him. And Blue's like, well, while the ghost is distracted, I'm going to run around him.
Yeah.
Runs in and bumps into Team Rocket, sends out his Wartortle. I love Wartortle. Wartortle's an underrated Pokemon. The Cubone at the Pokemon house, Mr. Fuji's Cubone, escapes.
Yeah.
And then obviously he's headed to the Pokemon Tower. Charmeleon can't hurt the ghost until Blue comes running back down the stairs. He's clearly just smashed Team Rocket.
Yeah.
Like, he's fucks them up. Like, there's an inferred bit that you don't see where he's clearly, he's just destroyed them. And he throws the Sylph Scope to Red, who puts it on, and we see that it's the Marowak, just like the games.
Yeah.
And it's that Cubo's mother, and instead of being... The reason that my notes keep throwing me is because Pages on Mac has just auto-corrected Cubone to Cuban. What the fuck is someone talking about Cuban for? Unlike in the games where you have to beat the Marowak, the thing that helps the Marowak leave this mortal coil is that she gets a hug from the baby Cubone, and she just fades out.
She goes to Pokemon heaven.
She does. She does. Red sends out a Jolteon, and Jolteon is cool as fuck. But also, in the games, you cannot have a Jolteon here, because you don't get the Eevee till Celadon.
Oh, yeah.
So who knows where he got his Eevee, or wherever he managed to catch a wild Jolteon. Who knows? And just like the games and the anime, the Rockets use a Coughing, which uses Smog, and Cubone comes in and helps, and they fucking just fuck the Rockets up with a Bone Meringue and a Thunderbolt, and they find Mr. Fuji, who confirms somehow, even though he wasn't there, that the spirit of Marowak is now at peace. I don't know how he knows.
He can feel it in his bones.
Yeah, he's in touch with the Pokemon.
Yeah.
He's one with them. The locals are now able to mourn at the Pokemon Tower again. Still no side story about Blue's Raticate. I want to know. I feel like they could have done that. That would have been a nice ode to the most popular fan theory about the first games. They could have been like, Blue could have been like, well, I came here to mourn my Raticate. And then we could have had that nice little touch to the biggest fan theory of all time. But no, they didn't do that. It's been dark enough already. There's been a Marowak that's been bludgeoned to death. You can say there's a dead Raticate. Mr. Fuji gives Red the Pokemon Flute. Did you recognise this straight away?
Yeah, I did.
Gonna wake that bastard Snorlax up.
Yeah.
But unlike the games, Mr. Fuji gives Red some stones, and I'm assuming you didn't recognise what these were for.
No, I did not.
So, this is an interesting thing. These are Mega Evolution stones. from Pokemon, originally introduced in Pokemon X and Y.
Okay.
And like I said in the end of our last episode, this was made as part of the pre-release for X and Y.
So it's just trying to tie it into the canon.
So we've got a little nod to a much later game that hadn't even, at the point of the release of this anime, hadn't even come out yet.
Yeah.
Red sees Blue. Blue's cocky as fuck about how he helped at the tower. You did fucking nothing. You did nothing.
I love how their rivalry is more of a banter one.
Yeah, it's a bit more. Well, at this point already, kind of 2 episodes in, halfway through the story, they're already on a more even footing, unlike Gary and Ash.
Yeah.
Ash is always being like berated by Gary, but that isn't what happens here. And that's the end of the episode. We get the save file again. We see that, Red's now got 5 badges. And we also see that beginning of the next episode, obviously, load saying 5 badges. 2 episodes in. How are you feeling so far? How was your pacing? How was your...
I was enjoying it, but as I said, the pace was just too quick. And as we said, I feel like if they had more episodes, it could have flowed a bit better. But I just felt like they had to go, well, we have to do this story, now we have to do this one kind of thing, but then we have to skip over a lot of other things that could have been more interesting, I find.
We've been given budget for 4 episodes, so we are doing 4 episodes. Now we move on to episode 3. This one's called Giovanni. And you remember who Giovanni is, right?
Yes, he's the leader of Team Rocket.
That son of a bitch. We see from the save state that he obviously has 5 badges, and we do a little montage again, skipping over beating Erica, which he should do. He's got a Charmeleon. He should have destroyed that gym. And as a backup, we know he caught a Pidgey, so that's probably a Pidgeotto now. That's a good backup for destroying a grass gym. He clears the rockets out of the first hideout in Celadon. It's underneath the gaming corner, underneath the casino. And we get a quick introduction of Giovanni here, which is, again, a silly thing to skip over. His first meeting with Giovanni. We see him encounter the Snorlax. We see him wake it up. He gets the Super Rod. He beats Koga, who's the gym leader for poison types. Charmeleon evolves into Charizard. And we finally rejoin. Yes, everyone loves the Charizard. And we finally rejoin in Saffron City, which, depending on the order you do things in the game, it could either be the 5th or 6th. They've obviously decided to make it the 6th. Gym town here, or Gym City. Red and Blue save a woman from Team Rocket. She works at Silphco. They've taken over. We know about this. They want the Master Ball, same as in the games. Now we get something real dark again. The Rockets are experimenting on Pokemon.
Of course they are.
In an aim to perfect the Master Ball. And just so they can sell them on. Don't you hate it? Don't you? Yeah. Pokebay or whatever. There'd probably be some pun name if they actually explored it. Especially in the mainline anime, they love a pun. With the lady, they go to scope out the Silphco building, and Blue's like, "Nah, I've had enough. Nah, I'm going." And he uses his iconic line from the anime that also Gary uses. "Smell you later." Kind of love him. He's like a dork who wants to be a bully.
Yeah.
Red convinces Blue that he needs his help, but, he doesn't have to come in the building with him. He just needs to take that lady to Celadon Police Station. Be a wimp, but, be a helpful wimp.
Yeah.
Reddy's going to storm the building on his own, because he wants to stop all the Pokemon suffering. And this is where he's a bit like Ash, a bit hot-headed. Although, by this point, I'd say he's already now more skilled than Ash.
Absolutely.
The Charizard is going to burn that fucking place down. That would have been a good end to that, wouldn't it?
Just burns the building to the ground.
I would have... So we jumped straight to Red letting out the Pokemon and people, and I would have really liked to have seen just a montage even of him just destroying like Ekinses and Arboks and Raticates and Rattatas. That would have been quite fun.
Oh, definitely. But we didn't get it. No.
And we get the scientist that gives Red the Lapras, just like they do in the game. And straight to Giovanni. I really wanted to see more, like... Because this is, like, in an office building. I kind of wanted to see, like, Die Hard with Pokemon. Come on.
Just Charizard crawling through a vent.
Yeah. Well, you've got the look right now in your vest.
Can I say, I recognise the voice actor for Giovanni.
Oh yeah, who is it?
Have you played Persona 5?
I have not.
Okay, so there's a character in there called Sojiro, and he's like your um, adult guardian in the game. He owns like a coffee shop, and it's him. And it's the exact same voice he uses. So every time he was talking, I was just imagining him offering to make me coffee.
Well, that's interesting. Nice little tidbit to keep you interested then, as a fan of something like another franchise.
Yeah.
Giovanni accuses Red of sneaking in, and I'm like, I don't think he did. I think
No,
he
he
kicked
stormed
everyone's
the
ass.
gates.
Yeah, because like everyone just runs out of the building when he's sorted it out. I feel like he just come in and his Charizard just killed everything. Red says he will stop every rocket or every time, and we get the first Giovanni versus Red battle. Charizard versus Nidoqueen straight away. Two big hitting Pokemon, and the Nidoqueen gets the advantage. And unlike in the game, Giovanni wins and says that even with the Charizard, which is a super powerful Pokemon, Red is a weak trainer.
Yeah.
And again, another difference from the game because you have to beat Giovanni to progress the game. You don't need to do that in an anime.
No, he escapes on a
Giovanni
helicopter.
So, I think I've got a tidbit about that written down somewhere. But that helicopter is from the mainline anime, and they literally just pulled the animation in and changed the colour of it.
It's smart.
Yeah, saves on animation.
Yeah.
Giovanni says Pokemon are our business, and he's not wrong because Pokemon is the biggest media franchise in the world, makes the most money.
Just change that R to like an N for Nintendo.
Yeah. It's not just it's Game Freak and Pokemon. It's not even just Nintendo. It's
the Pokemon company.
Yeah, it's Pokemon Company. It's insane. And Giovanni does bolt from Red, but only because in helicopters you say, but only because Red said he's already called the police. The president of Silphco doesn't give Red the Master Ball this time.
Dick.
Unlike in the games. We get a little montage again. Red beats Sabrina. He uses a Ghastly, which, if you want to beat Sabrina, you probably should have evolved that bad boy into at least a Haunter, but no.
He didn't need to, Bobby. He's a pro now.
We see him beat the Karate Master, and he takes one of them on. Unlike the games, though, this Karate Master's a wimp. He's like,
he just
take one.
cries immediately.
And in the game, he's like super stoic. He's like, you have won my respect and my honor. You may take one of these two rare fighting Pokemon.
They're just like,
that's
just
proper.
Take
like
one. Just take one.
That's proper like some of the characters in the anime, like the mainline anime. There's a lot of people who are wimps and cry. Red surfs on Lapras to Cinnabar, goes straight to the Pokemon Mansion, as we all do. He says, again, unlike the games, he says there used to be loads of Pokemon in here, but there isn't still in the games. He finds the books about finding Mew and cloning it. He beats Blaine, who looks really distraught as well. Yeah. And Blaine in the anime is actually a bit like that as well, but in the games he's very stoic again.
Was stoic the only emotion they could do in the Game Boy?
I think so, but just their dialogue's just straight to the point and serious. So
yeah.
Apart from Blue being like, "Smell you later." Red heads back to the Veridian where the locals are all saying the gym leader's undefeated. Red bumps into Blue, who's now beaten the gym leader, so he's no longer undefeated. That was a quick turnaround. Apparently, this gym leader was no match for the genius that is Blue. Red then has to wait for the gym leader. Mysteriously, everyone in there is dressed in all black, but without the R. So they're literally in the rocket uniforms, but without the R.
They're just like hidden underneath like a little piece of like cloth. Just like
Giovanni reveals himself as the gym leader, and
what a twist!
Ooh, like again, remember I told you the games like no one knew that, and it's so weird to think of no one knowing that.
Yeah,
I even think by the time the games come out in the UK, that had been revealed on the anime. So like to people in the UK, that was just no surprise whatsoever. Red says he's going to take him down this time and says he's the enemy of all Pokemon. Very dramatic. Giovanni says Blue was arrogant, but he had potential, which is why he battled him.
Yeah.
Giovanni says he accepted Blue's challenge as a gym leader, and there are 6 red Pokeballs that disappear into like a stand, and then 2 new Pokeballs that are Ultra Balls, which are the black and yellow ones, appear. He says this time it's not as a gym leader, so I'm guessing it's personal.
Yeah, that's what I was like. I'm taking you on as the leader of Team Rocket.
Yeah. We start
You're
out with
shit.
with his Rhyhorn, which is unevolved, which for someone who's like, I am the leader of Team Rocket, I am the leader of this gym. Evolve that bad boy. Get that stats boost.
Exactly.
Red sends out a victory bell. Red has learned not to use Charizard's brute strength. You know, he's going to play a tactical game now.
Yeah.
The Rhyhorn is apparently very strong and somehow destroys a grass type. Red then sends out a Kabutops, who also gets destroyed. Next up is Snorlax. And what's amazing about this, that Snorlax has got like a bajillion HP compared to all of the Pokemon. And he gets destroyed.
Yeah.
Then Jolteon, who obviously gets destroyed because Giovanni's got a massive type advantage over him. And Giovanni says he's disappointed. He's not sure why, but he saw potential in Red, and now he no longer does. Rhyhorn then uses an electric attack on Jolteon, which I don't understand. Pfft. Red sends out Hitmonlee. Now, that's a good choice.
Yeah.
Hitmonlee starts kicking the shit out of the Rhyhorn.
Why didn't you do that first?
Yeah. Then it starts to be a bit back and forth. So, you know, you take a Pokemon off of a crying karate man. And then you actually have a competitive match with Giovanni. And because it goes back and forth, Giovanni's a bit like, this is exciting.
Yeah.
You know, I'm actually getting excited by this for the first time in a long time. This doesn't normally happen. Just happens that Hitmonlee beats the Rhyhorn, but he's knackered. So Giovanni says the Charizard isn't ready to take on his Rhydon, the evolved one. So he sends out the evolved one after. And then we get this whole thing of Giovanni being like, why does this kid remind me of me? Yeah. And then we get a flashback in a minute. He reminds you of you because you were a child who picked a Charmander. Like, it's the same story. What the fuck are you talking about? Charizard and the Rhydon both go for a Mega Punch to equal effect. And it looks like the Rhydon's going to win, but Charizard counters with a Seismic Toss, using them fighting moves, which is the right way. And didn't try to use the fire, which wouldn't have worked. Red wins. The Charizard smashes the Rhydon. Giovanni has a realization that he should disband Team Rocket, and Red turns down the Earth Badge until he says that.
I love how it's just that simple.
Yeah, I don't want this because you're a crook. How about I don't be a crook? I'll take it.
How will I stop being a criminal mastermind?
That's the end of Team Rocket until Gold and Silver. Giovanni talks to himself as Red leaves. He's like, I'm going to find a new path for myself. And he stares at a Pokeball, which I presume only means that's the Pokeball that's got his Charmander, but probably now a Charizard in it, that we never see.
I'm gonna get a new hobby, not being a criminal.
And abusing small children.
No, that stays. That stays.
Yeah. And that's the end of the episode. We jump to episode 4. The Pokedex now shows you, so he's got 8 badges, but he's also registered 113 Pokemon. That's quite a lot.
Yeah.
He's doing all right. Red makes it through Victory Road and the Indigo Plateau. We do not see any of his battles with the Elite Four.
Nope.
We see a little highlight about him and Lance and the Dragon types, but that's it. Then we get the Ultimate Spin. And I remember this actually still being a spin because the anime presents the Pokemon League as a different thing. It presents it as a tournament between trainers, whereas the Pokemon League in the games is always beating the Elite Four. You get the swerve that you get in the games. I remember being a kid, not fully understanding every type effectiveness, especially when I first played it when I was around 10 years old. Understanding some of them, but not all of them. Managing to fight and scrape my way past Lance. And be like, I've done it. And the same swerve happens here as it does in the game. You would be the champion if there wasn't already a new champion that you now have to beat. And it's obviously blue. Yeah. Fuck me. This game, the way you played it kind of reminded of me as a kid. I think I said that in the episode. Except I think you probably had the patience to grind a bit more than I did. Because I was like, my Venusaur will just stomp everyone, right? And I managed to scrape my way through the Elite Four with only a level 66 something Venusaur, then a bunch of random level 40s that I picked up in... I don't know how I got through the game. But now I'm thinking about it, and now looking at the way Red was at the beginning of this game, I'm like, how did I get through that game?
See, I just wrote, wow, Red beat the Elite Four, and you didn't have to cheat to put a Mew in his Pokedex.
What are you talking about?
We have video
not a cheat.
proof, Bobby. We did the socials
It's not a cheat, it's a glitch.
that you
Hey.
abused.
Hey, it's in the game. I didn't have to put in a cheat. All I did was, use an escape rope. No, sorry, an Abra teleport and battle a certain trainer, and then all of a sudden, I've got a Mew. You're still unimpressed. Yeah, if I'd have known that hack when I was a kid, I think I would have struggled less. Blue says he's created a team that can beat any type. And
Yeah,
Blue
because he said
reckons-
he went specifically after the most powerful Pokemon.
Yeah, and type advantages over like the Elite Four and stuff.
Yeah.
And he reckons he's the most powerful trainer in the world. We still don't get this full fucking battle, and I wish we did.
I wrote, if this was the OG anime, this battle would have lasted an episode or maybe even 2.
Yeah, a full episode. They were unlike Dragon Ball Z, they wouldn't stretch it out, but it would usually be like a full episode, yeah. The only time they got close to doing anything like that was if Ash lost to a gym leader one episode, he would then like re-battle him the next episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, we would have got a good 10-minute battle minimum, I think. Blue's Blastoise beats Jolteon, which, it had a type disadvantage and still managed it. Red sends out his Charizard. We kind of get the callback to their first match.
Yeah.
Charizard does the Mega Punch, but he does fuck all, which is the best solution when he's fighting a water type. Blastoise uses Hydro Pump. Needy takes down the Charizard. Charizard uses Fire Spin. Red uses the full-on Stanley Ipkiss tactic. He wears him down. And Charizard somehow wins. His level must be insane. He's got a massive disadvantage there. Blue laments his loss so soon after being champion, and we get the really great thing that also happens in the game where Oak's like, I came to congratulate you, but you lost.
You lost to your nephew. You
lost to your uncle.
No, you lost to your uncle.
Yeah, he congratulates his son, tells his grandson off, says he's still achieved a lot, but he knew Blue won, and then he only come here to congratulate Blue, and by the time he gets here, it turns out Red has already beaten him.
It's like, I have no grandson.
I disown you. Oak takes Red to register his winning team in the Hall of Fame. There's only about 30 pictures, which I think, so the Hall of Fame has all these pictures on the wall. I think that's quite a nice amount to go, these 30 odd trainers have managed to do this.
We don't see Blues.
They
clearly had to do it because
or do you reckon? Or maybe Oak took Red to do it, but someone else took Blue to do it before that because he come out of that room that they go in. Or maybe you have to have been champion for at least an hour.
You need to have a parental figure to do it.
Red wins with a fucking weird team.
Yeah,
and I'll be honest, it's a bit of a shit team. No competitive Pokemon player would use this team, I don't think. So Charizard, yeah. Scyther, if you use it right, yeah. Persian is shit. Lapras isn't very competitive as a usable Pokemon. Jolteon's okay, and Dodrio's shit. They're more not all the Pokemon are meant to be used as top level Pokemon. Some of them are there for the quirk and to fill the Pokedex. My favorite, or one of my favorite Pokemon is Farfetch'd, and he is not a top level battler by any means. He's actually very low mid, but I like it because it's a quirky little Pokemon.
Yeah.
And some of the Pokemon are meant to be that, and I feel like Dodrio should fall in that category. And the fact that he uses a Persian or Dodrio when he's got a Snorlax.
Yeah. Very interesting.
I think they were obviously trying to differentiate him from Ash. So apart from Charizard, there's kind of no crossover on the team that Ash has.
Yeah.
Red saves the game as champion, just like in the game. Unlike the game, though, you don't wake up in your bedroom and start again. We get a montage instead of Red finishing the Pokedex. Some of these he should have caught way earlier.
Like Pikachu.
Yeah, he gets an Arbok, a Fearow, a Tentacle, and a Pikachu, and a Chansey that he somehow missed, especially that Pikachu. Because although they're rare in Veridian Forest, if he found his way to the power plant, they're everywhere. They're they're literal rats. Red then catches the legendary birds. Good work, Red. That's good. I don't know if in the games originally they're suggested to only be one of each, but by the time the kind of modern games are out, there's also like alternate versions of those now. So I don't know. I feel like
he didn't get the authentic. He got the authentic ones though. He got the originals.
Yeah. Red's Charizard's now looking hench as well. In one of the scenes, they're a similar height, and now Charizard's like 2 foot taller than him.
Charizard just looks at Red. Do you even lift, bro?
Red returns to Oak's lab and he says, I've completed the Pokedex. Well, you completed the Kanto Pokedex. I'll tell you that for one thing. Which I'm surprised they didn't like infer because they'd already done like 4 new generations of games by this point.
Yeah.
Red is told something and he goes... So he's gone to the lab and to tell Oak that he's done the Pokedex, but Oak isn't there. And he's told something by one of the aides and he runs off and Oak is by Blue's bedside who is really fucking hammering up a few bandages. Like, he's being a right wimp about this.
I just wrote, Blue almost died.
Yeah, I feel like they're trying to sell it, but like he almost died, and then like in like 10 minutes he's fine.
Yeah.
He was battling a wild Pokemon in Cerulean Cave, and his Blastoise was sent flying into him. That's what happened. Now, did you realise who this Pokemon was going to be?
Oh yeah, immediately. Immediately.
All of Blue's Pokes were destroyed. Red says, I've caught all 149 Pokemon, so should we go through my Pokedex and see
who it is?
It is. And when Red says, I've caught a whole 149 Pokemon, Oak snatches that thing like it's a fucking porn mag and he's horny. Like, it's so weird.
It's mine.
Blue managed... Now, Blue managed to achieve this too, he says. But...
his Pokedex is fucked.
Yeah, it's fucked. And also, it also infers that there is more than one of each of those legendary birds, which at other points is suggested that there isn't. So they whittle down the type of the Pokemon to Psychic because of the moves it used on... I was about to call him Gary then. On Blue's Pokemon. Red is going to go catch this. He's like, I'm going to go catch this son of a bitch. Watch me. I'm going to go kick its ass. Blue said it's beyond Red because it was beyond him. And I was like, please. Red smashed you in the Pokemon League. What are you talking about? Red this is where Red's like, I read something about this. And I was like, you read it at the Pokemon Mansion? Yeah, it was literally like earlier this episode. What are you talking about? Or last episode, sorry.
It was in the last episode, yeah.
Blue went to the cave to try and... He says that he admits it here. I went to that cave to try and catch strong enough Pokemon to beat you. It's like, oh.
Ooh, your hubris.
Yeah. Red and Oak head to the lab. We get a cut scene to Mr. Fuji being told there's something monstrously strong in Cerulean Cave. And Fuji's like, it's still out there. Oak
oh no, what did I do?
Oak looks at the stones Mr. Fuji gave Red and says he doesn't really know what they're for still. Oak knows who Mr. Fuji is, but he won't say why, which is weird. Red then remembers the passage from the book. He gets that flashback to reading about, they found Mew, and then Mewtwo, so it's a clone. So now we've gone from 149 to 151. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on, say it. There's 151 Pokemon. Come on. There's 2 ones that you haven't caught yet. Now, Mr. Fuji used to be Dr. Fuji. He was behind artificially creating Pokemon. The kind of work that they'd done had been dismissed after one of the experiments had gone wrong. Mewtwo's always described as going wrong, but he actually goes very right. He's very powerful.
Yeah.
He's just a bit of a nut job.
He just hates people.
Yeah. Oak's done some experiments on the Mega Stones and says they have a connection to Charizard, which in the games you have to have specific zones for specific Pokemon.
Yeah.
Ash. Red rides to Cerulean Cave, which is like, you've already been to Cerulean City. Fly there. You know, in the games, if you've been there once, you can fly there.
Yeah, but Charizard can't fly.
Charizard can fly.
Not in Gen 1.
He can learn the move Fly, though. He's not a flying type, but he can learn the move Fly. Fuji receives the news that Red's got into the cave. Red he has a nice little surf on Lapras through the cave, and he finds Mewtwo.
Who doesn't speak. Who doesn't speak. No. That actually threw me off.
So in the movies and in the anime series, he speaks telepathically.
Yeah.
Doesn't he? So he doesn't move his mouth, but you see him glow, and then they can hear his voice in their heads. And same in Detective Pikachu.
Yeah. But in this, no, he just growls.
Which version of Mewtwo is your favourite?
First movie.
Original Pokemon movie. Yeah, me too.
I
Me
mean,
too.
that's just a soldier talking, but yeah.
It's
I
in
need to watch
third.
the 3D animation remake of it.
Yeah, have I watched that? I think I watched that a long time ago. Red sends out Gengar, which is a smart move against a psychic Pokemon. And, he's evolved that Ghastly. Good lad, good lad. We don't see why, but we can assume it loses. It smashes Articuno. I was like, why did, okay, I know we caught the Articuno after you beat the Elite Four, but if you had that Gengar, that would have been a much better choice to take into the Pokemon League. I still lament his choices, especially the Persian and Dodrio. Fuck me. Fuji says Red won't be able to win, and then he goes, the mysterious anime, unless.
Unless.
And Red sends out Charizard. Fuji says he believes in Red for some reason. And he says there was a legend passed down from the old days in the Kalos region. Now, Kalos is the region in X and Y.
Oh, okay.
And he's also meant to be, if I remember rightly, France.
Oh no, the French.
Apparently if the bond between Pokemon and human is strong enough, then a great force power will erupt from those stones. Charizard goes at Mewtwo, but he's not strong enough. And he's sent flying towards Red, and they end up underwater. And luckily, the Charizard's flame doesn't go out, because that kills them, apparently.
Yeah.
Then the stones start glowing, then so does Red and Charizard. And we get the first example in any media, so not just in any anime, in a movie, but this is before it was revealed in the games. We get a Mega Evolution.
Pretty dope.
What did you... He looks sick. So we get Mega Charizard X. Now, Charizard is one of only 2 Pokemon that has 2 Mega Evolutions. Both of these Pokemon have an X and a Y Mega Evolution. The other one is Mewtwo.
Of course.
But
Of course.
Mega Charizard X looks fucking awesome, right?
Yeah. Oh. Yeah.
He turns all black. His flames go blue. And out the corner of his mouth, it all comes out blue flames. His tail flame is blue.
It is sick. I can't lie.
And he becomes half dragon, half fire type, as opposed to a pure fire or fire flying, as he is previously. Like I said, there's 2 versions of the Charizard Mega Evolution. So Charizard X turns him into this black fire dragon. Y makes him look like a more bigger, pointier, kind of like this version, but still orange.
Yeah.
But it makes him the strongest fire type in all of Pokemon.
Oh, okay.
So really, Y doesn't look as cool, but it's stronger.
Yeah.
Charizard uses Fire Blast on Mewtwo, and it's actually now blue, and it actually starts to do some damage. Red tries to catch Mewtwo, but he escapes. Charizard starts to just batter Mewtwo. He's like, Mewtwo's on the back foot. Red sees this little image of the little Charmander inside a little image. What do you call it? Like a...
So a flashback. Like the
flashback,
child within.
Yeah, the little child within of Charmander inside the Charizard. A nice little moment.
He literally goes, you've come so far.
Charizard hits a Mega Punch on Mewtwo, and Mewtwo is just exhausted.
Yeah.
Red does something that is really difficult to do in the games. He catches that Mewtwo with an Ultra Ball. Not the Master Ball, which is what everyone does. It's so hard. I've done it, but you have to be one, you need a Pokemon that knows Full Swipe, so you can guarantee you're getting them down to 1 HP.
Yeah.
And then you need to put them to sleep or paralyze them. One of those ones that doesn't do damage, but affects their stats. It's so... and even then, you can throw 100 balls. And you need potions to keep your Pokemon alive, to keep trying.
Yeah.
They've really... a few of us who have tried and succeeded in that, they really shot us in the foot. Could you not just use the Master Ball? But then I suppose they don't get to have the battle. But
No.
Charizard reverts back to his normal form. That's what Mega Evolution does. It's only temporary. They have a nice hug. And Red saves the game. 8 badges, 150 mon. That's not the end. We get a little kind of end scene.
Epilogue.
Oak, Red and Blue are sat down having a nice bit to eat, a little cup of tea. And Blue's salty as fuck. Because obviously he didn't get to catch Mewtwo.
Exactly.
As far as they know, there's only one. Then they have a little realization. Mew's out there. And Red runs off.
In fact, she's right outside their window.
In fact, he's under a random van or truck that's parked by the SS Anne dock that you can't get to. That's the only vehicle in the area. Or he's not, and it's only doable by a dirty glitch. A dirty glitch. I don't know who would do that.
Yeah.
So, what do you want to do first, Tim? Do you want to talk about what you thought, or do you want to hear my list of differences from Bulbapedia for the games?
Your things could be longer. Let me go over mine.
Go on.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was a fun watch. I think it was a nice, digestible way to absorb the story of Pokemon, even if they do make some deviances, which obviously you said you're about to go into.
Mm-hmm.
I just wish it was longer, and that's weird for me considering I'm not a big Pokemon fan. I do kind of wish it was a bit longer because I feel like there are more story elements that could have been told, and it's kind of a shame that they weren't.
100%, I agree with you. I think it's a really good way. What I think it was intended to do was bring, because a lot of kids at this point, they're not going to play Red and Blue, they're not going to play Fire Red and Leaf Green, but you want them to know the story of the original games. Here is 80 minutes worth of anime. Enjoy.
Yeah.
Rather than, especially if they're not, great on the type advantages or whatever, like I wasn't as a kid. That's, even when if you're not a speedrunner and you play the game normally, you're still looking at even a good run of being 8 to 10 hours.
Yeah.
And that's if you don't grind and try not to catch all the Pokemon. That's if you just try to run through the game.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Hit me with the differences.
So, obviously, first one, Red in the anime can speak.
Yeah.
Red in the games cannot. It's implied he speaks once in the game when he speaks to the copycat girl. A lot of the character dialogue is lifted directly from the games. We hear it with Oak, with Red and Blue and Mr. Fuji. There are lines that are directly from the game. Pallet Town is much bigger, obviously. The mini quest that you do at the beginning of Red and Blue, where you when you first get the Pokemon and you go get Oak's passport and then come back and you get the Pokedex, that's all obviously cut out. You get the Pokedex straight away.
Thank God.
Red encounters certain wild Pokemon in areas where they're not actually in the games. So he encounters like a Caterpie and a Spearow on Route 1. They're just not there. Red and Blue's first battle is until later on. Brock meets you on Route 1. Obviously, he doesn't do that. He only meets you in the gyms, like in all the Generation 1 games. The gym trainers that are hanging out in the gyms don't battle you. Or don't battle Red, sorry, as they do battle you in the thing. You get the nameless NPCs from the game are actually got names in here. So like the guys who hang out at Fuji's place. There's no channelers or other trainers in the Pokemon Tower. So, you battle the people that have all the Ghastlies and the Haunters and stuff. Ready shown, like I said, to already have a Jolteon before it's possible to get one in the game. The Sylph Scope, that is, as a plot point, brought forward. Blue helps you in the tower as opposed to just gets in your way, as it gets in Red's way. The Ghost of Marowak doesn't have to be defeated. Oh, Red's Haunter knows Shadow Punch, which he uses against Sabrina, but that move wasn't even put in the game till Generation 3.
God damn it, Pokemon Company.
Yeah.
Get your continuity right.
The Master Ball is obviously... They even say in this episode the Master Ball production is put on hold, and he doesn't get given one. Giovanni has fewer Pokemon. In the games, Giovanni disbands Team Rocket because he doesn't want his followers to try... Oh, sorry, he was ashamed of the followers for not being able to beat Red. In this, he disbands them because he remembers his love of Pokemon in this.
Because nostalgia.
One of the Pokemon who are in the Hall of Fame pictures is a Generation 2 Pokemon called Slowking, which, although he evolves from a Generation 1 Pokemon, he wasn't in these games. Blue doesn't go to Cerulean Cave in the games at all. Mewtwo uses Confusion instead of Psychic, and obviously Mega Evolutions. So, they're the differences.
Quite a lot.
You're right, it was quite a long list. But, again, those differences are mostly either like silly or cosmetic or
they're not going to they're not something that would affect my viewing of it as a very, 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 very casual fan.
Yeah, I think I think mostly they were necessary to create a watchable story.
Yeah.
I actually, if anything, this is going to sound weird coming from someone who's such a fan of the original games, they probably could have changed more to make it a more flowing, watchable experience.
Okay.
Because what's there, I really enjoy. I think
Yeah.
what they give us, I really enjoy. But I just wish there was more of it.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that you found something in this that you enjoyed. See, you say you're not a big Pokemon fan, but everything we've done Pokemon-wise so far, Tim, you have enjoyed.
But I haven't gone back to.
No, that's fair. That's fair. So the thing I was saying earlier that we could do, they actually did for the 20th or 25th, I think it was 20th anniversary of Pokemon. Yeah, 20th anniversary of Pokemon it was. They released a new movie that was a retelling of the first series of the anime.
Oh, jeez.
So it is Ash and Pikachu, but in an abridged version. Which I remember hearing about this and I watched it and I remember being a bit gutted because I was like, oh, I thought this was going to be like a full retelling. Maybe we get like 3 movies or something. No, it's not like an abridged version, a lot like this.
Oh, okay.
Now there are other retellings of Red and Blue later on for other celebrations that are R8 episode ones, but I've not watched them, so I didn't feel like we could watch them for this. Maybe if I do get around to watching them another time and I enjoy them, maybe we do.
Maybe we do. Maybe we partake.
Yeah, maybe in 10, 20, 30, 40 episodes. Right, Tim, 2 weeks. What are you imposing upon me?
We are going to return to a franchise we covered in an episode.
Okay.
We are going to, because a lot of the quotes were like just running through my mind the other day. And I was like, we could hold it off for a special or whatever, but no, I want to talk about it now because I need to get all this stuff out of my mind. We're going to return to our favourite animated family. We're going to return to The Simpsons.
Yes!
But, we're not covering episodes. We are covering The Simpsons movie.
Oh, I haven't watched that in ages. Yes. Good excuse to watch the movie.
Yeah,
The only cartoon TV show that translated to a movie and did it well. Yes.
Yeah, we were going to hold it off for a special. We did talk about it, like eventually one day returning, but I want to do it now because quotes have just been running through my mind. And I need to exercise this demon. And there's no other way I'd rather do it than talk about it on the podcast as well.
Oh, man. Spider Pig. That's like my fucking... Or the first thing that came to my brain. Harry Plopper.
First thing that came to my mind is like Homer's climbing the dome. But we're getting ahead of us. We're getting ahead of ourselves. We're gonna have.
Sorry.
We're gonna have. There's a joke a second in that movie, and we're gonna cover it. I'm excited. I didn't think I was gonna be this excited, but I'm excited.
Good choice, Timothy. We're so close to the 40th episode as well, and we could have done it for that.
We could have, but I was like, no. I actually think
I actually think you've done that for the 39th, which is funny if I've got my maths right. If I haven't, take that out. But
no, I think
37. I think it is actually. Sorry.
Yeah, so we're close. we're getting close. But I was like, no, now. I want it now.
It's all right. I've got an idea for what we could do for 40, and I think you'll agree with me. So.
I feel like if we've discussed it in the past, I know what it is.
We have. Awesome. Sometimes when I say I'm looking forward to doing your episode, don't give it away, Jesus. Sometimes when I say I'm looking forward to your episode, Tim, I'm lying. And then I do actually enjoy it, to be fair. But sometimes I'm like, oh, for God's sake. And then I do enjoy it. I've never actually had anything. Well,
another metal band, Tim.
Yeah.
Oh, more horror.
But this time, Tim, I'm legitimately excited.
Good, because right. Where can they find us?
Socials.
Yeah.
On, you go first.
What's my socials?
I always go first. Go on.
What are my socials? Oh yeah, it's a Tim Martini, literally everywhere. You know, Instagram, TikTok, X, Threads, even though I don't use it, and
Where we can find you singing songs by the worst band of all time.
For those who are unaware, day of recording, I uploaded a story of myself singing How You Remind Me a cappella, because my secret skill is to now sing Nickelback a cappella. And
the Sum 41 version's better.
And I'm not proud of it, but I can do it. But if you want to find my actual produced music, you can find that on Spotify. Just type in Timothy Martini. Bobby, where can we find you?
I am at bdavies_creative on Instagram and X. Mostly follow the Instagram, but if you want to see me retweeting stuff about Purpose Wrestling, go to the X. That's where I retweet a lot of Purpose stuff, a lot of storyline stuff. Follow Purpose Wrestling on everything. Wrestle Purpose on X, but Purpose Wrestling everywhere else. Follow us on YouTube and Patreon if you want to. That would be lovely. Not asking you to do that, but if you want to, that'd be nice. And Mighty Pro Wrestling as well, our family-friendly pro wrestling side hustle we got going on. A little venture that we're very proud of, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And yeah, that's it, I think, for my shit. And then they've got to follow us on everything we're doing, even though I'm really telling myself that I need to be on the socials more for the podcast, and I keep not doing it because I'm a busy man, Tim.
You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok at CC Society Pod. I remember from the last episode, we didn't say the important one. Send us an email at ccsocietypod@gmail.com.
That was the other one, yes.
You can find us at Reddit at u/CC Society Pod. Find us on Facebook at Cult Classic Society. And obviously, if you're on YouTube, you're watching us on YouTube at youtube.com/CC Society Pod. But if you want to listen to us wherever you go, we're on Spotify, we're on Stitcher, we're on Apple Podcasts, we're on Google Podcasts, we're literally everywhere. You can't escape us. It's happening. The takeover is happening.
Yes, we're literally going to be on every platform you can fucking think of. Soon you'll be able to listen to us on MySpace.
It's coming back. You go on Apple Vision Pro, fuck you, but we're on there.
Yeah, we'll have one in each eye and it'll make you feel really sick.
But that's been me. I've been Tim Martini. What's your sign off today, Bobby?
Tim, smell you later.
See you guys later. Bye.
Oh, salute you, I see you.